You are looking inside Xfinity Live in South Philadelphia after Cody Parkey's 43-yard attempt bounces off the left upright, falls to the ground incomplete to secure the Eagles' 16-15 victory over the Chicago Bears. Woo! Welcome to the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. Chris McPherson alongside former Eagles linebacker Ike Reese.
Take it easy. You need some water?
Nine lives. All done. All done at this point.
Yeah.
What an absolute classic thriller. Nick Foles leading the Eagles on another game-winning drive. 4th and goal from the 2-yard line. Connects with Golden Tate for the go-ahead touchdown. But wait. The Bears get one last chance to go down the field. Tariq Cohen with a solid kickoff return, giving the Bears good field position, a couple catches by Allen Robinson, and it looked like the Bears were going to be in service, that they were going to have a chance to win the game. Cody Parkey goes out there. The first attempt, it goes through the uprights. However, Doug Peterson had one last timeout to burn, iced the kicker, and it did just enough because his second attempt goes off the left upright, hit the other bar, and finally falls to the ground. And Eagles fans, I don't know if anyone has actually been able to breathe just yet, but the Eagles knock off the NFC North champion Chicago Bears in their house and will advance to the divisional round. The Eagles' 2018 season lives on, Ike.
Yeah, what a game, Chris. I mean, just an outstanding game. Game really played out a lot like I thought it would. When you look at these two teams, the way the Eagles have been playing defense coming down the stretch, they're going up against the number one defense in the league, so you knew points would be hard to come by today, and it was going to be an opportunistic day. Which defense would be able to take advantage of those opportunities? Chicago Bears, they got a couple turnovers, got a few points, but the Eagles defense, in my opinion, was just as good. Missed on some opportunities to get some takeaways, but certainly was able to stand up when needed. And then Nick Foles, late in the game, being clutch. What more can you ask for? Ice water in his veins, doing exactly what he needed to do late in the game. Just a Nick Foles game where didn't start off the way he wanted it to, sort of sputtered a little bit there, but hung in there, made the tough throws late in the game. And when they needed him to be clutch, he came up spades for this team. Just an outstanding all-around game, really, from this Eagles team. Special teams, defense. I thought it was a hard-fought game. And then Doug Peterson, icing. Former Eagle Cody Parkey, late in the game. My goodness. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. We're still alive. What a game.
Survive and advance.
That's all that matters.
You only have to go 1-0 in this game.
Yeah.
Coming into this game, you knew the Eagles were going to be undermanned. Okay, the Eagles had battled injuries throughout the course of the season to get to this point. Fairly healthy for the most part with the players they had, but you looked at this Bears team. This is an outstanding Bears team, a very sound team that was great at taking away the football this season. Had 2 more turnovers on the day, forced takeaways today. Also does a great job of protecting the ball. There were some passes there to be had for the Eagles, and Avonte Maggs, Trey Sullivan in the end zone, not able to come up with them. That bizarre end of the first half play where Cre'von LeBlanc with the strip that really, I think, saved the game for the Eagles because the Bears are on their way to get a touchdown at that point. Instead, they are kept out of the end zone. And the Eagles actually had a streak going back to the Washington game where they shut out Washington last week, 7 consecutive quarters without allowing a touchdown. That ended in the 4th quarter as the Eagles allowed the Bears to get that lead, but with one last opportunity, Nick Foles comes out. And with key clutch conversions on 3rd down and then the 4th down touchdown pass to Golden Tate. Okay, Golden Tate was acquired at the trade deadline, if you remember, for a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
You know, there were some, struggles trying to work him into the offense, figure out exactly how he would best fit. Well, that move paid off in a huge way. The biggest play of the season. And look, Tate had some amazing catches throughout the course of the game. You remember that one pass he caught over the middle. He takes a hit from Sherrick McManus. Obviously, it was a bang play. Very tough to hold on to the football. But huge catch to move the chains at the time. So Golden Tate, knowing that he may only have one more opportunity to impress the Eagles, because you remember, he is a free agent after this season. Okay? So with one more opportunity to impress the Eagles, he comes up in a huge way with a game-winning touchdown. And again, the defense doing just enough to make it a deep enough field goal. I mean, just all around a tremendous, tremendous performance. This is a team that has rallied around one another. This was, as you said, Ike, the ultimate team effort to come out here to get the win on the road. That is a Soldier Field crowd that has waited since 2010 for a home playoff game. 2010, and that place was raucous. That's the one thing you forget about is the Eagles on their amazing run a year ago. It was Lincoln Financial Field, and then in the Super Bowl, friendly confines of U.S. Bank Stadium. It was a pro-Eagles crowd. They have not had to face this at any point. Nick Foles, even going back to his other playoff start, 2013, never had to face a raucous road crowd.
Right.
He stepped up to the task today, and of course, he had a couple of mistakes during the course of the game, the 2 interceptions, but when all was on the line, when the season was on the line, Nick Foles steps up and delivers and just adds another chapter to his amazing legacy.
Yeah, just a big game. I mean, listen, that's what big-time quarterbacks do. When you struggle early in the game, it's not about what you do early. It's about how you finish the game. And the great quarterbacks in this league, they can overcome early struggles in the game. And I expected some of these struggles. Give Chicago's Bears defense a lot of credit. That's the #1 defense in the league. It's hard to score on this team. It's difficult to move the ball on them. They don't give up very many big plays. They make you dink and dunk down the field, forcing you into a mistake eventually. And the Eagles had a couple of mistakes early in the game, but again, Nick Foles has been in this position before, wasn't going to whittle through the tough part of this game, able to overcome that stuff. And when they needed him late in the game, he was able to make the big throws. He was able to stand in the pocket under duress, under some heat at times, and deliver some big throws to Alshon, to Dallas Goedert, to Golden Tate. This is why you brought Nick Foles back. This is why you held on to Nick Foles. When teams were inquiring about Nick Foles around the draft last year and the Eagles' asking price was as high as it was, this is why. Because you need to have a quarterback like this that can do this in these type of moments. And not very many teams have a backup quarterback that can play this well under these circumstances, under these conditions, on the road in a playoff atmosphere. Nick Foles worth every penny the Eagles are paying him. And this is why you brought him back, man. What an awesome win for this team today.
Just absolutely. Let's just go through the final drive here, okay? First play of that final drive, the game-winning drive that ends with a touchdown to Golden Tate. 15-yard pass to Alshon Jeffrey going against his former team. That alone got the ball in Bears territory. It was key because the Bears punter, horrible punt. They gave the Eagles great field position. The field position battle was heavily in favor of the Bears throughout the course of the day, but the one time that they made a mistake, Foles helped make them pay. Okay, then you have Dallas Goedert. You mentioned Dallas Goedert. Touchdown in the third quarter to give the Eagles a lead from 10 yards out. Another big catch here on the final drive where they did the fake screen twice. Then they gave it to Goedert on the dump off for 10 yards. Then Nelson Aguilar gets a pass in a flat, jukes a defender and gets 8 yards. And how about Zach Ertz not being placed on either of the All-Pro teams? An absolute sham in and of itself after 116 catches during the course of the regular season. Reaches above his body. Chris Collinsworth kept using the term going above the rim, extending his arms above him to get the first down catch over the middle of the field. Then a Smallwood run. How about Wendell Smallwood, come with some big plays. Actually, I will actually say his biggest play might have been a pass block in the first half of the game on an oncoming defender. Okay, you get to the 2-minute warning, and then the other big play here, a 3rd and 9 pass complete to Alshon Jeffrey to get the ball to the 2-yard line. They tried it a couple times to get it in with Darren Sproles. They get down to the 4th down situation. First, they tried to get to Jeffrey on 3rd down. Kyle Fuller, give a credit to him for a nice pass breakup. You figured that would have been the sweetest Hollywood ending right there because Alshon really wanted to take it to his former team today, okay? Not able to get the touch, so you're wondering, what is Doug going to call on 4th down? What could he pull out of his bag of tricks here with the season on the line? You want to say that you're still the defending champions after this game. What's it going to take to keep that momentum going?
That's an old West Coast offense play right there. Sprint right. That sprint right play, I've seen that play run a whole lot.
You know what? I don't know if it's the exact play. You mentioned a great point. Let's go back in time. Foles' rookie season, 2012.
Jeremy Maclin.
Jeremy Maclin
Yeah.
against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
It was almost, I would almost love to see those plays side by side.
Sprint right.
I've
seen that play an awful lot.
I think it's almost identical, the
Yeah.
same play. And that was Foles' first career win. It was the last win for Andy Reid as the head coach of the team.
Yeah.
You know, it was the one bright spot on what was a very down 2012 campaign,
Yeah.
but set the tone for Foles moving forward. And he's led the Eagles to not just the Super Bowl title, but keeps their hopes alive here in 2018. I was just hoping that when the Bears were driving at the end there, it was not going to be another situation like Foles' first playoff game,
Sure.
2013, where they're playing against the New Orleans Saints. It's at Lincoln Financial Field. Foles leads the Eagles on a go-ahead drive in the fourth quarter, ends with a touchdown to Zach Ertz, but then Darren Sproles with the big kick return, Kerry Williams with the horse collar penalty, and it pretty much gives them a short field, and they end up getting the game-winning field goal. Almost happened again, but Doug Pearson having the timeout, using it to ice Cody Parkey at the perfect time. And Cody Parkey has been unreliable. That was kind of the one weak link going into this game for the Bears. And sure enough, Parkey is not able to deliver. Parkey, if you remember, rookie season, had a Pro Bowl campaign for the Eagles, suffered an injury, I believe it was in 2015, his second season, and just was not the same. He's bounced around a little bit, so everyone thought he found his home in Chicago, big part of a run. Again, this Bears team, 12-4. Biggest loss of the entire season was to the Patriots by just 7 points. So to go to Soldier Field, okay, where the Bears had lost just one game, that Patriots game, that was their only loss at Soldier Field all season long. To go there in that raucous environment, okay, and for the most part, the Eagles outplayed them. The question was going to be, with those missed opportunities, a couple penalties that extended Bears drives, some balls that were batted in the air that they couldn't come down with for interceptions. You were wondering, was that going to be enough to kind of keep the Bears in the game long enough that if they got a score or two, they would pull out the win?
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, the difference in this game was the red zone. I mean, that's the flat-out difference to me in this game. The Eagles were 2 of 3, in the red zone, converting, getting touchdowns, and the Bears were 0-3. They were 0 for 3 in the red zone. Listen, the Bears as a defense did what they wanted to do today. They held this high-powered Eagles offense over the last month to 16 points. They got 2 turnovers off the Eagles. The Bears defense did exactly what they wanted to do. The difference in this game was the Eagles defense, in my opinion. They were able to keep this Bears offense to just 15 points, and when the Bears were able to move the ball and get in scoring position, the Eagles were able to hold them to field goals. You mentioned the cre'von LeBlanc play.
Yep.
That's a huge play right before the half. I mean, because if the Bears even just recover that ball, the Bears have the ball, at the 10-yard line, somewhere around there, right there in scoring position. As it is, they get a field goal out of it, and it's 6-3 instead of a possible touchdown and making it 10-3 in favor of the Bears. So I think the Eagles' defense was outstanding today. It's a tricky offense to have to defend because Matt Nagy likes to do so many different things with Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky wasn't as effective with his legs today as he had been throughout the year. I thought the Eagles defense had Nigel Bradham sort of spying on him at times.
Outstanding game from Bradley.
Yeah, I thought Avonte Maddox had an outstanding game early in the game.
Yes.
They started to get some plays on him late in the game, but I thought for the most part, he did an outstanding job early in the game. And that front four was able to get after Trubisky all day. So I look at the way this defense played, man, to hold that team to only 15 points, 0 for 3 in the red zone, that's really the difference in the game. I mean, if I'm a Chicago Bears defense and I say I hold this Eagles offense to just 16 points and I got 2 turnovers off of you, yeah, you feel like you should have won that game.
Here's the thing. You mentioned the red zone defense. Eagles, #1 red zone defense in the league this season.
Yeah.
People might forget that. Everyone talks about the Bears, the vaunted pass rush with Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd and all the amazing things that unit did this season. And look, that unit is a huge reason why they went 12-4.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, they were able to strap it down. I'll use cre'von LeBlanc's nickname there. They strapped it down inside the 20-yard line to have the best red zone defense in the league. You mentioned Mitchell Trubisky and his legs. Well, there was the 3rd down run early in the first half where he runs out of bounds, and you could tell he pulled something.
Up a little bit, yeah.
Pulled up a little bit, went into the medical tent, and he was basically forced to be a pocket passer. I actually think he was dealing as a pocket passer.
He looked okay, yeah.
He was doing much better than I expected.
Yeah.
Because typically he has beaten teams with his legs, first and foremost, on the season. Okay, I believe he finished 5th in the league, somewhere in the top five in rushing yards amongst quarterbacks. You're probably thinking Mitchell Trubisky. You're not thinking of him as one of those guys. Well, look, that's what he's done. Very good athlete, and he's not afraid to keep going for extra yards. Most quarterbacks, once they get in position where defenders come and they're just going to slide, he'll put the shoulder pads down and try to get a couple extra yards.
Yeah, that's that youthfulness.
Exactly, yes. A little naive there, so to speak there. But you look at the numbers, say, look, he had completed over 60% of his passes, over 300 yards there, had a touchdown, throw to Allen Robinson there in the fourth quarter. I mean, I thought when he was forced to be contained in the pocket, he made some nice plays.
Good arm. Has a live arm.
It's a live arm, yes. And there were some questions about that because he had a shoulder injury that he suffered about midway through the season, just before Thanksgiving, that sidelined him for a couple of games. And Chase Daniel, former Eagles great, had to come in his place there. So there was some question of whether he's had some residual effects from that injury. But you see the numbers there. The biggest thing there, rushing yards, just not. Okay, so the front four was able to get after him. Michael Bennett had a sack in this game. They were able to get to him a couple times, but pretty much what that helped the Eagles do was drop everyone else into coverage. Okay, maybe you're using Bradham as a spy, but you were able to drop everyone else into coverage to try to take away the other playmakers in that offense. And for the most part, they were contained. I mean, Taylor Gabriel, you didn't hear his name called much at all. Allen Robinson, he had the big touchdown catch. He had a good day. All right, look, that was a matchup coming into this game where Allen Robinson's 6'3". Avonte Max is 5'9".
Right.
Okay, the one thing down the stretch where the Eagles won their last 3 games, and they've had Rasul Douglas and Avonte Max in as a starting corners, is teams have not been able to test them vertically down the field. Okay, the Bears were the first team to be able to do that with a little bit of success. But again, it didn't really happen until the second half of the game. And, give the Bears some credit, okay? They were taking advantage of the tendencies where they were doing a lot of receiver screens, bubble screens to try to get yards after the catch, and that's where they caught Maddox on the big touchdown play to Allen Robinson, where Maddox thought it was going to be a screen in the flat. Well, all of a sudden, Allen Robinson does a little double move, goes up the sideline, and comes up with the touchdown. So, credit Matt Nagy for the play call there. But again, when you're the Eagles defense, and again, you're using the guys, the front four, you're not doing a whole lot of rotation. You're getting a little more rotation inside, okay, because Tim Jernigan's back healthy now. Haloti Ngata's been the best. Yeah, Haloti Ngata's been the healthiest he's been all season long. But really, at the end, you're going Brandon Graham, Chris Long, Michael Bennett.
Yep.
Those are your guys, okay? And in this type of environment, in this playoff atmosphere, those are the guys you're going with. These are the battle-tested veterans who have won championships in this league. So those are the guys you have to go with. But still, it is still difficult to be able to go there down after down after down to try to hold an offense that has been good for most of the season to only just 15 points there. So once again, the Eagles beating the Chicago Bears 16-15. Golden Tate, 2-yard touchdown reception on 4th and goal to put the Eagles ahead. Wendell Smallwood's 2-point conversion attempt, just a little short, okay? We're trying to stretch that rule of breaking the play in there, okay? By like a absolute millimeter, it didn't quite happen. So the Bears get the ball back. Cody Parkey, a 43-yard attempt, goes off the left upright to end the game. We are going to hear shortly from head coach Doug Peterson and quarterback Nick Foles, amongst others, I'm sure.
Let me tell you something about that play with Wendell Smallwood. The crazy thing is he actually fumbled the ball.
Yes.
And if the Bears had recovered it and ran it back, they would have a 17-16 lead. Yep. So that was a live ball that the Bears could have recovered and ran back for a 2-point conversion.
Always pick up
Got to pick up the ball. You got to pick up the ball.
Pick up the ball. That bizarre play at the end of the first half. So what happens is Anthony Miller, the slot receiver, catches a ball down the seam against cre'von LeBlanc.
Yep.
And as he's going down to the ground, LeBlanc is able to get the ball at the very last second. Okay? So on the field, they called it incomplete. But the way that Miller came down with the ball, he got a couple feet down, then the ball came out. So the referees go to review it. And they're like, well, there is a fumble on the play. It looks like a catch. It's a fumble. But here's the problem. There was no recovery because the referees right away blew the play dead.
Right.
Okay, everyone is saying, why didn't the Eagles go pick up the ball? Trey Sullivan is there waving incomplete. Corey Graham was around on the play. Oh, let's send it to Soldier Field. Head coach Doug Peterson on the win over the Bears.
Right. Doug, the sprint out, Nick sprint out to Golden Tate. Why that play?
Actually, that was the 3rd play in a row that we ran down there. The first 2 plays actually had that kill attached to it. It was a kill play. It was a run kill to that play. And we just, Nick and I, we talked on the sideline, and we said, you know what, let's just run the sprint out. So actually, that was the third play in a row that we ran and well executed.
He successfully ran that play in 2012 to win a game on a last-second touchdown to Jeremy Macklin, if you recall, and he called
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he want this one too? I mean, did he call?
No, it was still part of the game plan. I mean, we knew that had a feeling that Coach Fangio, he's a zero blitz guy when you kind of got to have it, and felt like that it was the best thing to do was get him on the move at that time.
You walked in here, you appear to be still pretty emotional from the locker room.
I had something in my eye. Still do, actually.
Hey, don't ruin a good story.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, I am. That was a great win.
What are your feelings right now?
I mean, just overwhelmed. I mean, that's a good football team, and Matt Nagy did a great job this season, and my hat's off to him and that Chicago Bear team. It's a tremendous football team, and quite frankly, just for us to come in here and just hang together for 60 minutes, we knew it was going to be that type of football game, and we hung in there. We made it wasn't pretty at times, but we made the plays when we needed to, and my hat's off to our guys and my coaches.
Yes, they got in the field already. Foles. It's like the legend of him being able to continue to do this. That final drive, you're down, comes down the field, down to that last play on fourth down. I mean, he just always seems to get it done in the biggest moments.
Yeah, and he had some help. Golden obviously making the play at the end. Alshon made a big catch. Dallas made some huge catches. Zach, I mean, just go around the room there, and Nick is Nick. He's going to stay calm. He's going to stay collected. Very efficient. It wasn't it wasn't pretty at times. I know the two turnovers early in the first half, which could have led to some points, but he hung in there and did some good things.
As the Bears drove for that final drive there and set up for the field goal, what's going on in your mind in that situation?
Well, we were still talking scenarios for us offensively. Still had one timeout, I think, at the time, and just preparing to get the ball back and see how much time we had, and just kind of getting ready for the next series.
Was there any thought to keeping that timeout in case you had to start going the other way?
Yeah, I mean, we could have. There could have been several things. I mean, obviously, turned out to be a pretty good decision to save it on the final play of the game.
You tried to ice Cody Parkey earlier in the game, and it didn't work. So were you thinking to yourself, do I do it or not do it, or you were just going to go?
I was doing it regardless. I wasn't even thinking about the first half. I was going to use it. Wasn't going to take it with me.
But what is it about Nick Foles that puts him, that makes him different in those moments? I mean, he had the middle of the game was not very good for him. Then the last 4 minutes were kind of what we've come to maybe unrealistically expect.
It's playing quarterback in the National Football League. It's not always going to be pretty. But you have confidence in your offense, you have confidence in your quarterback, and you put it, quite frankly, put it in his hands to win. And he just does a great job of just staying in the moment, staying calm, and no panic. There was no panic on offense or on the sideline, and even after we punted the football there, felt like if defense got a 3 and out, we just offensively just said, hey, we're going to put a drive together and score, and we set our mind to it and we did it.
How was his week of practice? Was he able to do everything that he normally would do? Was he limited by the?
Yeah, no, he actually did everything. We had the walkthrough on Wednesdays. There's not a ton of throwing there, and then Thursday, took everything on Thursday and Friday. So he had a normal week.
Doug, what was your thinking when Alshon had caught that first down pass down to the 2? You had 2 runs called first. What was? Can you?
Well, those were the two plays that had that kill attached to it. We still had plenty of time, and still had the timeouts there, and it's a run, kill to a pass. So we kind of had the best of both worlds there. And I credit the Bears. They came off the edge with the outside backer there and tackled us. And fortunately, we were able to finish the drive.
You ran a lot on first down in the first half. Second half, kind of switched that up a little bit. Was that the plan?
A little bit. I probably could have called a few more passes on first down early in the game, particularly on first down. So I mean, I'll look at that tomorrow and get better.
How important is the experience, the playoff experience for you guys, especially in that last drive, knowing that you guys have done this before, you won a Super Bowl title versus a team that?
Well, I think there's a lot of confidence in the room. The team. Guys understand that everything matters, every play matters. These games, these postseason games are they're gonna be full 60-minute games, and and just it's just a matter of just staying in the moment. Don't let things get too big for us, and rely on your playmakers to make plays. And I do think that being in this situation last year has prepared us for this time.
After the game, what was the message to the players?
Message basically was team effort, great team effort. Part of to go 1-0 each week, and gives ourselves another opportunity next week. And guys are excited, guys are thrilled, but we know that we've got to clean some things up and get ready for next week.
How important is the pass protection, considering the caliber of opponent you faced tonight with the way the offensive line held up?
Our offensive line did some great things. I mean, they really held up well. Without looking at any numbers, I don't know what the sacks or pressures, hurries are, but gave Nick some time to throw and push the ball down the field. And sometimes it's going to happen that way where you gotta throw a little bit more than you'd like to. But our offensive line did a nice job.
New Orleans not your best trip this year. Your thoughts about going back and trying to make some amends?
Yeah, it wasn't very good the first time, and we'll take a look at that film. We'll take a look at this one. I think we're a different football team now than we were then, and we just got to put a good plan together in all three phases, and go back down there. We're on the road. It's going to be in a dome. It's going to be loud again. All those things, and it's going to be a great atmosphere.
So did your game plan change at all with Eddie Jackson not playing? I know he obviously can make a big difference back there.
Yeah, no, it didn't. Yeah, no, we stuck to what we had.
So your defense, a lot of guys were talking about this week that by the end of the day, we're going to be the better defense. Fletch talked about it. Brandon talked about it. A lot of guys did. For your defense to come in here and really contain them for most of the game, with all the injuries you've had, what does it say about this defense that, kind of patchwork guys out there at times are able to get it?
It just shows that one, they're getting better as a unit, playing together with some of the young guys that are out there. I think Maddox is playing well. LeBlanc is playing well in the back end. Trey has come on. I wish he would have caught the ball there at the end of the half, but he's been coming on, and really Rasul's he's done a nice job here down the stretch, and so those young players are just getting valuable experience, and that's what it takes. And our defense has a lot of confidence right now. We know that it starts up front with our front four, putting pressure on quarterbacks and trying to stop the run, and they did a nice job today.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You were messing.
All right, this is the scene in South Philadelphia Xfinity Live after Dallas Goedert scored a 10-yard touchdown in the third quarter to give the Eagles the lead. What an absolute amazing scene down there. We showed you at the start of the show the reaction after Cody Parkey missed the field goal. You see drinks flying around, everybody celebrating. What an amazing, amazing place to be to witness the Eagles knocking off the Chicago Bears. Now, let's take a look at our tag board social media feature to see what some people are posting. And you got Kobe Bryant goes, Eagles emoji, thank you next.
Black Mamba.
See?
You see?
He knows how to close. He's in the clutch right there. Mike Trout.
Future Philly.
He was just too he's too excited. He can't even capitalize all the letters there. Yeah. Get the fly, Eagles fly. Let's
Future
go.
Philly. Let's go, Mike. Let's go, Mike.
See, you come to Philadelphia, you get to experience it more often, like Ryan Howard did when he won a World Series with the Phillies. Okay, the big piece checking in. What a game! Congrats to the Eagles. On to New Orleans. Let's go Birds. So, Doug Pearson addressing the media. We're going to hear from quarterback Nick Foles, possibly some others. I would imagine Golden Tate probably going to need to come to the podium.
Podium game.
It's podium game. Exactly. So Doug Pearson talked about how that final play, the game-winning pass, touchdown pass to Golden Tate was indeed a sprint out there like you called, very similar to Foles' first career game-winning touchdown against the Bucs in 2012. It reminded me of how a lot of similarities between this and the Falcons playoff game a year ago. The scores were eerily similar, 15-10 Eagles, this one 16-15. But the final play of that game, which if you remember the entire defense called, was a sprint to the right. And, of course, Jalen Mills there to make sure that Julio Jones doesn't come down with the ball inbounds, passing complete, and the Eagles get the victory there. So also asked about next round, going to be taking on the New Orleans Saints. This Eagles team, since then, it's won 6 of 7.
Let me tell you.
much different team than when they faced off earlier this season.
Yeah, and we'll have time to get into.
We got all week. Yes.
Yeah, we'll have time to get into this matchup. But I guarantee you, these players know exactly how they felt leaving New Orleans about 6 weeks ago after the Saints basically ran the score up on them late in that game. So that's going to be added motivation for these guys going down there next week. And they're going to need it. Saints are a good football team. Believe me, I played in that dome. When they are loud and raucous, it is a tough place to play, but this is a championship-tested team that the Eagles are. I thought today was a difficult environment to thrive in. They managed to overcome some early struggles and overcome that crowd in Chicago. You know, the Eagles fans weren't able to take over Soldier Field like they've done in some other cities. Chicago has a very good football fan base, and you knew that they were going to be loud today. And I thought the Eagles, they were able to overcome that crowd, overcome the energy of that crowd, and really feed and create some energy themselves sort of to feed off of. I thought our defense played outstanding today. They've really carried this momentum that they started to build throughout the last weeks, and it really reached its peak last week in Washington when they were able to shut the Redskins out, and that was good going into this game. I thought they had confidence. Against an inexperienced quarterback like Mitchell Trubisky, you're going to need to pose much more of a threat to them. And like you said, we talked about the red zone defense. Being the number one red zone defense in the league, we'll give you some things underneath. We'll give you some stuff underneath, but we're not allowing you to get in the end zone. And that's what the Eagles were able to do today, keeping the Bears out of the end zone when they were in the red zone 3 times.
You mentioned the inexperience of Trubisky, and that's probably the biggest reason going into this game that I felt the most optimistic for the Eagles' chances, especially when you're kind of trying to figure out who would you want to see the Eagles play in this first matchup, and you're going to take whoever you get. But when you look at the matchup with the Bears, the Eagles have handled themselves against very good defenses in the past. You look at the run to the Super Bowl last season, okay? Remember, they had to face the number 1 defense against Denver during the season and put up over 50 points on them. NFC Championship game, what did we hear the entire week leading up to that game?
Minnesota's defense.
How are the Eagles going to score? Well, as a team, they put up 38 points, thanks to that pick 6 also from Patrick Robinson. So Doug Pearson knows how to game plan against very good defenses. I like the fact that you had an inexperienced quarterback on the other side because all the pressure was on the Bears. Again, I say how this is their first home game since 2010, okay? This is a second-year quarterback who has made huge strides throughout the course of the season. Look, he threw 24 touchdowns against 12 interceptions.
Good second year for him.
But he didn't make the leap that Carson Wentz made from year 1 to year 2, where you were talking about him as an MVP candidate. You were looking at Trubisky as kind of the guy to, be the game manager, so to speak. The defense is what's going to win it for us. Just make sure you don't turn the ball over, take care of it, and don't get caught up in the atmosphere.
And I got to be honest with you. He played well today.
He did play well
today. He played well today. He didn't turn the ball over. Listen, over 300 yards against this Eagles defense, that's something he can sort of hang his hat on. Really drove his team down the field that final drive.
He got him in position, yes.
So, played a good game. But, again, Eagles kept him out of the end zone. Kept him out of the end zone, 0 for 3. That's really the difference. Even with Nick struggling with a couple turnovers, he was still able to get this team in the end zone with 2 critical touchdowns, including that final drive where he was able to hit Golden Tate for the game-winning touchdown. How about Golden Tate? Many people wondering whether or not Howie Roseman made the right move, giving up a 3rd-round pick to bring Golden Tate in. I always felt, Chris, that you wouldn't be able to justify bringing Golden Tate in with just numbers throughout the regular season. You pick him up in the middle of the season, it's difficult for him to come in and all of a sudden become the focal point of your offense when you have the type of weapons that are also on the offensive side of the ball. I always felt the way you would justify bringing in Golden Tate is the postseason. Making the postseason. So the Eagles were able to do that, and then his play in the postseason. He's a veteran, obviously looking forward to this opportunity, and I thought today the 5 catches that he made, it seemed at least 4 of them were big catches that he made, including that game-winning touchdown. So having a guy like that, a calming presence, and then trying to find a way to fit him and Nelson into the offense when they basically play the same position.
Similar skill sets,
they play the same position, but you want to try to use both guys, and so they got to move them around. And I thought today he was huge, coming up with some tough catches and some key moments of the game. I mean, if you ever wonder why you go out and make a move for a guy like that, this is why you do it. Because once you get to the postseason, you need as many veteran-laden players that'll be able to rise up to the occasion as you can get.
Well, look at the J.J. acquisition last year.
Exactly, same thing.
Came up huge in the postseason for the Eagles. Contributed throughout the course of the regular season, but really made his mark there in the playoffs to help the Eagles get the Super Bowl championship. The irony is not lost on me that we needed the Bears, their help, to get into the playoffs to begin with, because they had to knock off Minnesota Week 17. Yeah. They help us get in, and then we kick them right out there. So you wonder if they're thinking back, like, maybe if we had let Minnesota in, could be a much different story. So you'll never know. But
well, listen, I'm pretty sure some of the fans had that feeling.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I talked to, I was on a radio show out there during the week talking about the game, and one of the things I asked was, like, I know the fans, how do the fans feel about the Bears basically beating the Vikings to let the Eagles get in? And there was some trepidation out there because this is a hot team, there's a championship-tested team, and once they get in the playoffs, that's all they wanted. And that's all the Eagles wanted, was an opportunity to get in. Didn't matter who they faced, they were going to be ready for it, and you knew you were going to get their best shot. And I also knew this was going to be a close game because you have two coaching staffs that are familiar with the schemes on both sides of the ball. So there was going to be very few surprises in this game, right? There were going to be very few surprises from a schematic standpoint. And so you knew it really was going to boil down to execution. Who was going to be able to execute better, even though you may have known certain plays were coming in certain situations. And really, the Eagles did what they needed to do when they had the ball last to go ahead. And the Bears, quite honestly, their offense moved the ball down the field after a very good kickoff return from Tariq Cohen. And Cody Parkey missed a field goal. Yeah, he missed a game-winning field goal that was very makeable, and the Eagles are able to get out of this game with a win, and that's all that matters, is you survive and you advance, and the Eagles are moving on to the second round, and the new norm has never felt so good, being able to just be a staple in the postseason. Not only that, just getting in, but knowing that no matter who you face, you're a difficult out. And that's what the Eagles are trying to establish. Regardless of how you play in the regular season, if we get in the postseason, we're going to be a difficult out.
Consecutive trips to at least the divisional round, first time since your tenure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we used to be able to do when we got in, is we were certainly going to win that first game that we played. We were going to be ready to go. And we had problems finishing off the playoff runs, but typically when we got in, we knew we were in for a long stay. And then when Doug talks about the new norm, I know he's talking about championships as well, but when you think about the Patriots, what do you think about? They are staples for the postseason.
They're there every year.
Every year.
Not just making the playoffs. They win the division, and they're hosting the conference championship.
And that's sort of what you want to have. And I look at that shot from Xfinity Live of the fans. Man, that's what makes it, being a sports fan in this city, so great, because no one comes together like a sports community, a city like this Philadelphia city does. And we come together better for the Eagles, better than any team in this city, because we all have our little pockets, Flyers, Eagles, Sixers. Everybody's an Eagles fan. Everybody's an Eagles fan.
Can we do our show next week from there on Xfinity Live?
Maybe a little loud over there.
Yeah, it might be a little bit. So I'm perfectly fine with that. All right, let's get into your takeaways, and I think you got to start with number 9, who is now 4-1 in the playoffs.
Man, ice water in his veins. Nick Foles, a.k.a. Nicky Six. You got to start with him, Mr. Clutch. You just said it, 4-1 in the postseason. Came into the game as the highest-rated quarterback in NFL history in the postseason based on his few starts. And when he needed to be clutch, that's what he was late in the game. Big throws to Alshon Jeffrey, Golden Tate, Dallas Goedert. Just big play after big play late in the game when you needed him to be big, overcoming, a tough start to the game for himself, and then just being the clutch quarterback that we've all known and become to know Nick Foles to be.
So their second takeaway here, and the Eagles have been playoff tested basically over the last month, and two of those wins, 2 of the 3 consecutive wins to get into the playoffs came on the road, especially that first one at Los Angeles. So this is a team that knows how to overcome adversity away from the link.
Yeah, and that's what they had to do today. When you're on the road going up against a team like the Chicago Bears, who's as opportunistic as they are, they led the league in takeaways. That's what they want to do. They want to take the football away from you, shorten the field for that offense, and try to gain points that way. But I thought thought the Eagles early in the game, we struggled putting points on the board. That 3 hung on the board for a long time, and then it was 10-6, and then next thing you know, the Bears got a little momentum, and they're able to go up 15-10. And at that point, you're saying to yourself, man, this just may not be our day. It's been tough getting anything going, but as my first key to the game and Nick Foles and his clutchness, that's what they were able to do, overcome that early struggle and then get the lead late and then even overcome that kickoff return from Ricoh late in the game. So that brings me to my third sort of key to the game, and that's the defense. That's the defense. I talked about how good the Chicago Bears defense played today, and when you look at your goal chart going into a game, you want to be outstanding on third down, you want to get takeaways, and you want to be outstanding in the red zone. That's what the Eagles were able to do today. The Bears were able to get some yardage in between the 20s, but when they got to the red zone, the Eagles shut the door on them. 0 for 3 in the red zone, holding them to field goals. Yeah, they gave up some passing yardage. Hats off to the Bears. Robinson is a very good wide receiver, but again, you win football games by scoring touchdowns, and they didn't score many touchdowns today. I thought the defense did an outstanding job, even though they didn't get a ton of turnovers and a bunch of sacks. The fact that they only gave up 15 points on the road, making this Bears defense one-dimensional, that was huge today.
Especially because you were worried, would you score enough?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And they scored 16, and it turned out to be the perfect number to get the win. Let's get some more reaction. Some of this coming from the players themselves. Corey Clement, moving on. How many Eagle emojis we got in there? 5. 5 Eagle emojis. Moving on. I actually enjoy the injured players like he and Jalen Mills, home watching and tweeting along. It's entertaining to say the very least. So Corey Clement saluting the Eagles. Chris Long, 3 letters. Wow. How many texts have you gotten that pretty much said the same thing? That's what my wife texted me that along with other things. But wow.
Yeah, she texted me other things too prior to that missed field goal.
And then you got Cam Johnson. Let's go. Cam Johnson making his playoff debut for the Eagles there. Let's go. And I don't know if I can count, I think 7 exclamation points right there. So overall, though, just a total team performance here for the Eagles. We're going to hear from quarterback Nick Foles and other players very shortly. But again, it's a great high to enjoy. You mentioned, how everyone's comes together in the city, and it's just great that you're able to enjoy it this way once again. And as the season was going along and things were going topsy-turvy, the Eagles were 4-6 if you remember, they were 4-6 after the New Orleans game, and then all of a sudden they were down 19-3 against the Giants. You thought that this season was really going to start spiraling out of control, or had the potential to. Well, they're able to rally to get themselves in the postseason, and you're getting to the point where you're so emotionally invested once again that you just don't want to see this run come to it. This is a glorious run that's 2 years in the making at this point, okay? Because the season ends with the Super Bowl. You get to carry the euphoria of that through the offseason. Then you have the amazing opening night celebrations. You knock off Atlanta again. You get Carson Wentz back. You go through the roller coaster season. You make it into the playoffs, winning 3 straight at the end. You don't want to come this far just to end with a loss to the Chicago Bears and the Eagles delivering in thrilling fashion. I mean, I'm trying to think. This is such an instant classic where it's going to rank among like the playoff thrillers in Eagles history right now.
Well, certainly it's going to rank up there with them, because this is another good one. And in typical Eagle fashion, we like to make them classics. And so it's what's great about this organization. We've had a ton of great playoff moments. We've also had our fair share of disappointing moments. But, under this regime, under Doug Peterson, I think we ought to we should never take it for granted, but we should come to sort of expect it and get used to it and sort of get comfortable with the feeling of being successful and being expected to win these type of games. And eventually that sort of feeling will come. It's repetition, right? It's just the more and more you do it, the more and more we'll begin to expect it. But the way the season is sort of played out, you didn't really know how today's game will go. I talked to enough fans throughout the week that some were just satisfied that the Eagles fought all the way hard to the end of the season and got in.
Okay.
They were satisfied
that was
with
not
that.
me. I was not.
Well, then you had another portion of the fan base that said, hey, now we're in, let's take advantage of it.
Yep.
And they're waiting for another run. I'm somewhere in the middle. Being the defending champs, what expectations do you want to place on the team? Obviously, you want to win every year, but is it really realistic? So for this team to overcome the whole Super Bowl hangover, actually get in the way that they got in, and then had enough to win this type of football game, man, I want to be in your corner, right, where you're never satisfied. But part of me says, wow, man, that was a gratifying win today. That was a good win today.
You understand how difficult it is.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking for granted what the Eagles were able to accomplish because this is an undermanned squad.
Right.
At the end of, let's face it, let's look at the secondary alone, okay? At the beginning of the season, you had Jalen Mills, Ronald Darby, your Super Bowl starters on the outside, and a promising up-and-coming Sidney Jones working in the slot.
Yep.
Out there today, Avonte Maddox, Rasul Douglas, Cre'von LeBlanc in the slot, combined postseason experience in terms of defense, 0 snaps.
0, yeah.
0. Rasul Douglas played special teams for the Eagles in the postseason. He did not have a single snap on defense, okay? He had, a couple, games where he had some significant roles in throughout the course of the year due to injuries, but, for the most part, he's been like the first guy off the bench. So during the Super Bowl run, he was special teams. That was it.
Yep.
So you're relying on these guys, okay? You're working in some newcomers, guys like Golden Tate into the offensive side of the ball, all right? So it's your defensive line, which was the hallmark of the team a year ago with the rotation. Again, we talked about you're relying on some trusty veteran guys, but you don't have like a Derek Barnett, to inject some youth coming off the bench there to help, give your guys a breather at any point. So
I agree.
So you're largely undermanned. So it's not that I'm not satisfied because I understand what's taken to get to this point. It's just that once you're in it, you want to make the most of the run here. That's the biggest thing.
And that's the way the team feels.
Yes.
And the players feel that way as well. They've gone through the tough part of having to get through the regular season just to get back to the postseason so that they can defend their Super Bowl title. They've gotten in, and they're saying, you shouldn't have let us in. Because we're here to win this thing now. And that's the great thing about these players. Having experienced that championship run last year, they know what that champagne tastes like. They know what that feeling was like, those that were able to do it. And then you have some players that have won in the past, but it's been a few years since they won.
Michael Bennett's of
the
world,
Michael Bennett's, the Haloti Nadas, those guys. Darren Sproles didn't get a chance to play last year.
Jason Peters didn't get to play.
Jason Peters didn't get a chance
Jordan
to play
Hicks.
last year. Those Jordan Hicks, those guys, Golden Tate. Right? Golden Tate never won a playoff game, won his first playoff game today. Played in Detroit. I think they won one playoff game in 80 years in that franchise's history. So it's great to have sort of that new energy, right? That newfound energy and motivation as well once you get in the postseason.
Speaking of the hero, Golden Tate game-winning 2-yard touchdown reception on 4th and goal. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro caught up with him on the field after the victory.
All right, Golden, let's talk about the touchdown, the call, the play, and the catch and how it felt.
Just a great play call by Doug, and my number was called. I knew I had to make a play, and Nick just dropped a dime. He threw it, so only I can catch it. I just made a play. Just happened to have the opportunity to make a difference, to give the city something to cheer for, and we did something big on the road against a really, really good team. So I'm excited.
What is the demeanor like down in that situation? What are the guys like on the field?
Composed, and I think it starts at our quarterback. We got a quarterback that just wants to live in the now. Doesn't matter what happened early in the game, just stay composed and let the game come to us. And then at the end, we just had an opportunity to make a play. But I can't say it was me. We moved the ball very well down the field when it mattered, and just the last play, my number was called.
And it's fun to win on the end, right?
It is very fun. One thing we said this entire this week is that, once we get in, you got to deal with us. So we in, and we just going to keep it going.
Wow. Number 19 there coming through in the clutch 4th and goal to give the Eagles the 16-15 victory. And we're going to hear from quarterback Nick Foles in just a little bit. We're waiting to bring his press conference live from Soldier Field. But how about the protection today for Nick Foles? Because remember, he took the shot to the chest at the end of the Washington game a week ago. couldn't finish. Nate Sudfeld had to come off the bench. Oh, speaking of Nick, there he is right now. Let's send it over to Soldier Field.
Yes.
Was that one you asked Doug for again, or?
Yeah, we talked about it on the sideline. We had an option on the previous couple plays based on the look they would give us to actually get to something like that. And, we were over there talking, and I figured from studying them in those situations where games are on the line, they like to, blitz and bring a lot of pressure. So, why don't we move the pocket and, put one of our, best guys on one of their guys and let them win. So Doug and I discussed it, and he was all for it. So.
When you guys make that play, make that decision, what's going through your mind as you go to the line of scrimmage, you snap and you roll out there?
Really just reading body language. It's really, there's two routes. Golden's primary. So it's really just, let him win. And, it's really a simple play. And he did a great job of really selling his route, hesitation, and getting out. And he's got great hands, as you can see. And he made a lot of big plays for us tonight.
Who's secondary? Is it Nelson or Alshon?
Alshon.
Was it the same play from the Macklin touchdown?
Similar but different. It's not the same one, but it's similar concept with just a route, working on versus man, and getting out of the break.
Nick, what was your message to the team in the huddle on that prior to that final drive?
I mean, it's like we always talk about, just staying in the moment. That's been what I've been focusing on. That's what we've been focusing on. It was a crazy game. That's a tremendous team. Playing here, this is a crazy place to play. And, our defense did an amazing job tonight, really keeping us in it. The first half was, we struggled on offense. I struggled through a couple picks. But, the last drive was really just stay in the moment, let's play the play, let's just keep going, let's march. We didn't have to do anything too crazy. We just needed to play. And we were able to settle down in the second half and make some plays. And, it was a huge team win for us.
You talk about staying in the moment. Do you say to yourself at any point as you're in this high-pressure situation that I've been here before, I did this last year on the biggest stage, this is
not really that. More so, just what I learned on those stages is just how to calm myself in a chaotic moment. When there's from the outside world, it's a ton of pressure, and just really simplifying it in my head, getting in the huddle, looking at the guys that I trust, know that it's all on the line for us, and we're just going to get the job done. It's just belief in one another. So that's just from being around these guys, having the relationship. And that's what wins games in the fourth quarter is we talk about brotherhood. Going to work every single day. The game wasn't going great in the first half offensively, but our defense was keeping us in it, and they just kept coming to sidelines. We got you. We're going to get you the ball back. And there was never, and I always talk about they never turn, they never, get upset. They just had our back, and it was ultimately a great team win.
In the final minute, did you have any flashbacks to your first playoff game when you left the field with the lead and then the big return and the game-winning field goal?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some similarities there. That definitely came in my mind a little bit, but, we were fortunate. Parkey's an amazing kicker. He's one of the best in the league, and I said it earlier, he makes that 99 out of 100 times. We were just fortunate that was the one he missed.
Nick, how important is it when you're in the huddle in that situation that the other guys in the huddle see you calm and see you kind of composed and not showing any signs of?
Yeah, I mean, it's always important. It's always important to be genuinely that way. They can see through it if you're faking it. So, but I draw my strength from, those guys in the huddle, just look in their eyes, the belief they have, not only in me, but in one another. And knowing that, this was a crazy game. There was a lot of adversity. I mean, this is one of the most hostile environments I've played in. Their fans came out, and, we still had a lot of support here too, but it was I'll sleep well tonight for sure.
Nick, Doug said earlier that on first and second down, this handoffs to Sproles, there was the kill, and the sprint out was the play there. Why'd you stay with the runs?
The look that they gave us was the look that we wanted for the run. It wasn't the kill look.
What was the where you had the Philly special look, but you just had the direct snap?
Yeah, it was just.
What's that play called?
Well, it didn't work, so I don't know if they want me saying it, but I'm gonna keep that one to myself.
What's going on? What's clicking with this team now over this past few weeks?
It's just been the course of the year. Just finding the DNA of the team, we've gone through a lot as a team, and we've continued to stick together. Everyone at the NovaCare facility just keeps believing in one another, and it just takes time. And I think the big thing is it's about relationships. It's about believing in one another. In the hard times, it's easy to pat each other on the back when things are going well. It's, hey, when things aren't going well, or I throw a couple picks, what's going to happen? And
what happened today was I threw a couple of picks, made a couple of mistakes, but the other guys were there to be there for me, lift me up. Defense said they got me, and that's what this team's about.
You and Alshon seem to have a really good connection most of the time. Obviously, he played here before. Did you sense that this game meant anything different, obviously beyond a playoff game, anything for him?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you play against your former team, you obviously go out there and you focus and you want to play, but yeah, there's always something. There's always added something, and I knew that going in here, coming back to Chicago where, he was an elite receiver when he was here, that's emotional, but, he always comes ready to play, and he's a big-time player.
What was the play on the 3rd and 9 that you completed to him down to the 2? And was he the first read there?
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of reading through an area, but, you're reading defenders on that one, just the way they coverage, but you really want to get it to him. So the way the defenders reacted to the concept, it opened up nicely for him.
You kind of said before that, every game you play now could be your last in Eagles jersey. Does that go through your mind at all, especially going into
not really in the last series. It's more so when I sit in the locker room, after a game. I always try to take a moment and just sit there and just reflect because, you're enjoying it with your teammates, but it's also you're giving everything you have. And I realized then that I'm blessed to be able to wear this jersey at least one more week. And that's something that, I get to play with these guys one more week. I get to be with the coaches one more week. And that's something that's really, I look forward to and I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Nick, I know you didn't play in the game, but what did you notice from your teammates after the New Orleans loss the first time? And what are your thoughts about the opportunity to have a rematch?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first time New Orleans came out and, they did a really good job versus us. It wasn't a good game for us, but at the same time, the thing that impressed me about my team is even in those moments where, it wasn't a good game for us, we still stuck together. So it's going to be a tall task this week. New Orleans is, they had a bye week. They're a tremendous team. They had an amazing season, but, I love these guys that I get to go play with. I know we're ready for this week, just one day at a time. Now we get to go back home, get a little sleep, get our bodies ready, and get ready to roll again.
You didn't practice with Golden Tate very much because you came in late in the season, but how many times do you think you practiced that play with him?
That one, once or twice. So I just, I read body language, and it comes down to trusting your guy to get open. And, he came out big tonight. I mean, he's a playmaker. He made some great catches, and he's really helped us a lot. He's coming along.
Nick, you've had a few games earlier in your career where you had those interceptions early and the result wasn't what it was tonight. What was different for you? Are you a different quarterback now in those situations?
Yeah, I think that those games are tough when you make mistakes early that hurt your team, and, it can affect you because you want to go out there and you want to help. And I think sometimes you can start forcing it. You can be a little gun-shy. As a younger player, but what I've learned is I talk about staying in the moment, good or bad. If I throw a couple touchdowns early, still it's 0-0. Just keep playing. This, unfortunately, made a couple mistakes, but still the same thing. Hey, just get back. It's 0-0. Just play. Trust your teammates. Play. So, yeah, absolutely. I pull on things that I've learned. I'm always learning. I learned a lot about myself tonight. I learned a lot about my teammates, and that's where we continue to grow as a team. And that's that y'all keep asking me every week, what's gelling? It's this continual growth through these games that we go through that really helps our team mesh, and we continue to grow tonight.
We have time for two more. Eddie Jackson didn't play. Did you sense that maybe in the middle of the field there was a little more room than there might normally be?
They did a great job. He's a great player. I think they did that defense. The thing that impressed me on film was obviously their front, but the way they can move their coverages and disguise their coverages. And I thought they do it amongst the best I've ever played against. They did a really good job tonight, even without him out there.
How'd you feel physically? How'd you come out with the ribs?
I feel good. We gave it everything we had tonight, so like I said, we'll sleep good. All right, thank y'all.
All right, South Philadelphia Xfinity Live. That's the reaction after Golden Tate's go-ahead touchdown on 4th and goal. Okay, ball at the 2-yard line after Alshon Jeffrey got them down there. After 3 plays, 2 Sproles runs, and then an incomplete pass to Jeffrey. Then all of a sudden, sprint out. 4th and goal, season on the line. Golden Tate come up huge there. Reese Hoskins, Phillies player, going with the double doink to win the game. Dogs are barking. I was wondering maybe if the underdog mask might come back out.
How about that field goal miss? That was a double doink.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. I mean, that is hard to do, man.
All right, one of the best, one of the absolute best pass rushers in
5'8".
franchise history. Okay,
Second
in
5'8"
sacks.
number.
I'm telling you, it is something special about that 5'8" number. Continues to this day. Trent Cole, one of my all-time favorites right there. Great battle between two great teams. And then how about the Bella twins, okay? Nikki checking in there. That's why you get the little N there. Go Eagles, WWE fame. Of course, everybody knows who the Bella twins are. Huge Eagles fans. So, but great, everybody's checking. Everyone coming out here. It's playoffs. It's playoffs. Even though.
But in all seriousness, final game of the weekend, so you know everybody's watching.
Exactly, yes. And it was an outstanding game.
Yes.
Okay.
Low scoring, but good defensive game.
That's
Two
what you
defensive
want.
games today.
And it's close at the end. That's the biggest thing. It comes down to the final drive. Okay. You get a 4th and goal to go ahead there in the final minutes. And then the Bears have one last opportunity. Again, big kickoff return. Pretty much gets them in great field position. Trubisky, first career playoff game, has a couple completions to get themselves in field goal range. He comes off the field saying, I've done my part.
Yeah.
Just need Parkey to put it through. And then Parkey, he did put it through the first time, but Doug Pearson, one more timeout in his pocket, calls it to ice him. Second opportunity, double doink. That's ball game.
Yeah, and I tell you, prior to that, when the Eagles had the ball, and I know Matt's a rookie head coach out there in Chicago, but I know when he looks back at this game, he's going to be thinking about the usage of his timeouts late there. I was surprised he didn't call a timeout after the first Darren Sproles run. You imagine if they call a timeout there, they probably have about 30 extra seconds.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to, maybe you got a couple extra plays that you move the ball closer for Cody Parkey, and it's more like a field goal attempt. Again, rookie head coach, and time management is something that all coaches sort of have to feel their way through. And I'm sure when he looks back at this game, that's probably a situation there where he's probably going to wish that he had to use one of his timeouts.
Doug Pearson, first time in the playoffs, he went all the way. He got the job done. So, just
everybody
saying.
Can't be Doug. Everybody can't be Doug.
So we talked about the defensive line, and one of the key contributors down the stretch here, Tim Jernigan, who had off-season surgery, missed pretty much the first 3 quarters of the year, played one game, re-aggravated the injury, had to come out for a few weeks. Well, he's healthy. He's thriving in the middle of the defensive line, helping complement Fletcher Cox there. Dave Spadera, our Eagles insider, caught up with him on the field following the win.
Hey, Timmy, tell me how you feeling. What was it like there watching Cody line it up and miss it?
Ooh, it felt good. The crazy thing about it was I went to Nigel Browder. Nigel Browder said, hey, he said, bro, he gonna miss this. I say, nah, I don't know. He said, bro, they finna miss it. And I'll be he did. He missed it. So
Tim, the way you guys came back in this game, what's that tell you about this football team?
I said it 4-5 weeks ago, man. One thing we ain't gonna do is give up. We ain't gonna give up, and you're gonna have to beat us out of this thing. We ain't gonna just walk out. We ain't trying to go home. We're trying to be in Atlanta in February.
4th and goal. Eagles have the football. You're on the sidelines. What are you doing?
Man, I'm over there. I'm just praying. I'm praying. To be honest with you, I'm just praying. Just talking to God, man. Because at the end of the day, I know He with us. I know this what this team goes by. We're a praying team. We stay together, and I feel like we deserve to win. So we won.
Thank you, Tim. Congrats, man.
The gold teeth. Just absolutely love seeing the gold teeth shine there on the field there in Chicago after the Eagles' 16-15 victory. Now, there's one person, a Hall of Famer, an icon, who we haven't heard from yet, Ike. You know who I'm talking about.
My uncle.
Your Uncle Merrill.
My Uncle
you
Merrill.
You better believe it. Everyone's
that's
uncle.
Right.
Merrill Reese. Mike Quick. We're going inside the Sports Radio 94 WIP booth for, it's not Merrill and Mike Cam, it's just Merrill Cam, okay? He's the icon here, okay? Quick is one of the greatest receivers in franchise history.
Who is he?
But he's the the side piece there, okay? It's all about Merrill Reese here. How did he call this game? Let's go and get the best of the best in Merrill Cam. Take it away.
Here is a field goal attempt. This will be a 43-yard attempt by Jake Elliott. Do the Eagles hit the scoreboard first? The kick is away. It's got the distance. And it is the Eagles 3 and the Bears nothing. Trubisky in the gun. 3 receivers right. Trubisky back again. He pumps. He is firing. It is complete. Down across the 5. And no, they say incomplete. Anthony Miller had it,
No.
and then he was stripped of the football by Cre'von LeBlanc.
This is outstanding play. Don't count them before they hatch. LeBlanc he's actually beaten early, but he doesn't give up. He gets his hand in. Anthony Miller has the football, but LeBlanc gets his hand in, and he rips the football out.
3 receivers left. Allen Robinson, the former Nittany Lion, out to the near side of the field. Snap goes back to Trubisky. He's looking, and it's too late because the Eagles gobble him up. They get him back at the 45-yard line. Tim Jernigan and Brandon Graham with the first sack of the game. Aguilar comes in motion. Shotgun. Foles back, looking for the end zone, firing, complete. Touchdown! He's got Dallas Goedert for a touchdown.
Well, they didn't waste any time going to the end zone. Dallas Goedert lines up in the slot. Nelson Aguilar motions outside of him, and he just runs down the seam.
Trubisky takes the snap. He looks, steps up, and he is hit. They've got him back at the 15-yard line, and that is Michael Bennett with the sack. Foles takes the snap. He rolls. He looks. He fires, and it is complete. It is complete. Touchdown, Golden Tate. And the Eagles regain the lead.
We're going to have that for you available on PhiladelphiaEagles.com later on. But Merrill Reese going right to Twitter after the game. Oh, look at this. Really special team. Never seen an Eagles team put on a stretch drive like that one. Needed some breaks, but you know what? Kickers have dashed our hopes in the past.
That's right.
Doug Pearson is a winner, and Nick Foles has unshakable poise. Look at that.
I like it.
Is that the second book? The first one was Believe It, so is Unshakable going to be the second Nick Foles?
Unshakable. I like
Unshakable
that. Yeah, I like
right
that.
there. So I'm leaving it set. I'm writing that one right now. So going to the press. But nonetheless, it's great. I just love that peek behind the curtain because fans get to listen. You get to listen on Sports Radio 94 WIP. You can listen right on PhiladelphiaEagles.com or Eagles app, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You get to see the end product, but you don't know how the sausage is made, so to speak. And I love media relations extraordinaire Anthony Bonagura, call him the Godfather there, to Merrill's left in the booth there, who's working as the statistician, the spotter to tell him what's going on during the course of the game. And there's the fan in you that wants to be going berserk, but you got to make sure. I got to make sure Merrill gets the right guys. Got to make sure I put everything out. So I like that Anthony goes the little fist bump, and then gets back to doing the job to take care of Merrill, because you can't let the go down whatsoever. That's the biggest thing. You can't let them down. So. We've talked a little bit about Dallas Goedert. We showed the reaction from Xfinity Live to his touchdown in the third quarter, which gave the Eagles the lead. Just speaking of unshakable and amazing poise, Goedert stepping up late in the season as a rookie. We were wondering how much 12 personnel we were going to see with he and Zach Ertz on the field at the same time today, going against a Bears defense that pretty much stays in base at all times. Okay, so even if you have a third receiver on the field, they're like, we'll drop Leonard Floyd in coverage. We'll drop Khalil Mack. And you saw that. You saw Roquan Smith covering receivers down the field in this game. So we're going to go to a one-on-one interview with Dallas Goedert, who halted his first career playoff touchdown today in the win over the Bears.
All right, let's talk about this. First, tell me about the touchdown, the route, the catch, how it felt.
It was incredible. We called Zebra 88. I went in there. Wasn't the play I thought it was going to be. Went out there. Nick gave me a nice ball. We got ahead. It was a pretty big time in the game, pretty exciting.
Do you know where your family is in this building? Did you wave to them after the touchdown?
I didn't. I tell you the truth. They're in one of the corners somewhere. It's awesome to have them all here. Excited to play one more game with these guys.
Dallas, the last drive, the offensive drive, take me through the drive and what Nick showed you once again in clutch situation.
Yeah, Nick has been incredible ever since he stepped on the field. It was crunch time. We were down 6. Late in the game, everybody stepped up, elevated their play. There was a lot of big plays on that drive.
Your first playoff game, what was the experience like?
Man, it was incredible. This place was rolling all night. Obviously, you couldn't ask for a closer fist fight till the end. It went down to the game missing field goal. It was incredible. I had a blast. Looking forward to next week.
Thanks, Dallas. Congrats. Appreciate it.
I would think that that's a playoff beer for Dallas Goedert, but he's had that the whole season. So it might be just
South
from time.
Dakota.
That's what it is.
Yes.
So he absolutely hated the fact that he had to tweet out support of North Dakota State winning the FCS National Championship because he lost the bet because South Dakota State lost to Easton Stick and Company there, Carson Wentz's alma mater in the semifinals. So Dallas Gower was on Twitter like, great job, best team in the country. Like, yeah, I lost the bet. But just absolute, you look at with him and with Avonte Maddox, the contributions you're getting from the young guys, Josh Adams working his way in there as well. You have to feel good about the future of the team because you're getting these contributions from young players. This is the pipeline. This is how you talk about the new normal. This is how you maintain the new normal, is having the pipeline of success. You got to be able to draft well so that when the veterans are aging and getting to the end of their careers, that you have someone you can step in. And during your tenure with the Eagles, first-round picks might not really get on the field a whole lot, okay, because you have veterans locked into those positions. But I always think back to the Brian Westbrook draft, the Leo Shepard, Sheldon Brown, Michael Lewis draft of 2002, where it's like most of these guys aren't getting on the field because you already have established players at those positions. You just need to get them in the pipeline and get them ready so that when the time comes, they're able to step in. We didn't think that, I think Dallas Gower was the one guy we thought would be a piece for the offense this season. Took him probably a little longer than expected because he showed flashes of brilliance throughout the training camp and preseason. They've done a great job working him in. Avonte Maddox is the one guy, though, that we were like, we didn't think that he was going to be a contributor, maybe special teams at the most. Right. And here he is starting at outside cornerback, going against the NFC North champions, Allen Robinson, giving up, 6 inches to him, and yet getting the job done to help the defense get the victory.
Yeah, and playing very well. He has been a pleasant surprise at the cornerback position. You talk about what his expected role was coming into the season. I thought obviously he'd be the 4th or 5th cornerback, special teams contributor, and even inactive on some Sundays. Yeah. But injuries have forced him into action early this year. And so he's excelled wherever they've asked him to play, whether it was at free safety, whether it was at the nickel position, or even on the outside, he's excelled. And he got some great experience going up against a guy like Allen Robinson today. And I would give Avonte Maddox the benefit of the doubt. The first half of the game, second half of the game, they saw some things, and then they took advantage of the young rookie in the second half. But I love watching Avonte Maddox play. I think he is a gamer. I think he's going to be huge for us moving forward. I think they're going to have a hard time keeping him off the field next year. I think he's an outside corner. I really do.
It's one of those great topics that we get to debate all offseason. But we get to push the offseason off for at least another week. So speaking of huge acquisitions, a couple of years ago, the Eagles in free agency getting Brandon Brooks from the Houston Texans, has made back-to-back Pro Bowl appearances. He was huge in helping protect Nick Foles, especially on that final drive as the Eagles came from behind to get the win. He talked with Eagles insider Dave Spadero on the field following the victory.
All right, Brandon, you guys are down at the goal line trying to get in. What's going on in the huddle? What was the demeanor like there?
So it was do or die at that point. I mean, obviously, you win or you lose, you go home. So for us, I mean, we won't want it any other way than having it on our back. So got the job done. Collectively, how do you think you did against that Bears front? I thought the Bears defense was an excellent defense. I mean, they've been one of the best ones in the league for the whole year. So we feeling good. Let's just keep the thing rolling.
All right, so you're sitting there watching. What are you looking at? What are you looking at when Cody's lining up the kick?
Well, first I was like, is he going to ice him? Then he iced him. Then I saw him make it, and I was like, yeah, after this one, it's going to be it right here.
It's the way playoff games are. They always come down to the wire. Do you enjoy that?
Honestly, no. I was on the edge of my seat, but glad we got the W.
That was a heavyweight showdown in the trenches between he and Akeem Hicks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Akeem Hicks is a devastating defensive tackle. Has mammoth size, amazing strength. Doesn't quite have, there's some comparisons of Fletcher Cox. I think Fletcher Cox is a little more of an athlete, better in terms of getting the quarterback. But, if you were able to watch the broadcast, they showed some of the hand fighting that Akeem Hicks was able to do and able just to, move around the arms of whatever offensive lineman was against him. Brandon Brooks had his hands full today, but helped keep Nick Foles clean because, again, that was one of the big things coming to this game. With that rib injury, would he be affected at all whatsoever? You knew the Bears were going to try to take their shots, and you really didn't hear much from Khalil Mack.
No.
Didn't hear too much from Leonard Floyd. I mean, overall, they had able to get pressure at times, but the offensive line with Isaac Seumalo coming in there for his first game in weeks because of that chest injury, you were wondering if they were going to say, we won 3 straight games with Wiz in there, let's keep it moving, but they want a bigger body inside to handle this Bears defensive front, and look, the offensive line was up to the task once again.
Yeah, another great job. Listen, this offensive line has gone up against some pretty good defensive fronts, particularly on that line. When you look at Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, Ryan Kerrigan, and those young Alabama boys down there in Washington that they faced last week. And then you had this week with this Chicago Bears defense, the number 1 defense in the league. Khalil Mack gets all the attention, but they are a good defensive unit. That whole front 7 is a good unit. And so what I like that the Eagles offensive line was able to do today is that they didn't allow that front 7, particularly that defensive line, to dominate the offense, to disrupt the offense all day. Sure, they made some plays, and part of the game plan was get the ball out quick so you can sort of neutralize that Bears front. But the Bears, they get that sort of game plan from everyone every week, and they've still managed to disrupt offenses. I watched this Bears defense on Monday night destroy the LA Rams offense. And so I thought the Eagles offensive line did a nice job of not allowing this Bears front to really just dominate the game. They made a couple plays here and there, but they didn't dominate the game, and that's what they can do at times.
Khalil Mack has been an absolute game wrecker this season. Okay, I'll go back to even the season opener for them, his debut against Green
Packers.
Bay.
Yeah.
And the first half alone, you just said, they can't stop this guy.
Yeah.
No matter what side he's lining up on. And that's what's interesting about Mack. When you go back to that Raiders game last season, he lined up exclusively over Lane Johnson. Well, tonight, he was moving back and forth between Lane Johnson and Jason Peters, and both times you weren't seeing either tackle get a ton of help whatsoever. Yeah. I mean, Doug Peterson knew, look, you guys, you're the bookend tackles, the stalwarts of the offensive line. Lane Johnson, an All-Pro a year ago. I think he's motivated by the slight, not just the Pro Bowl, but the All-Pro, which was announced this week.
Yep.
Jason Peters, we talked earlier, didn't get to be a part of that playoff run on the field last season, but he was a motivating force because remember, in the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship game, Lane Johnson's running out with his 71 jersey out there on the field. Okay, so those guys had to hold their own, whether it was against Mack or Floyd, and both were up to the task. Those guys were not able to dominate the game. Akeem Hicks, I thought, was very, very good in the middle of the interior. They didn't give the Eagles a lot of room to run the ball today. I credit Doug Peterson for striking a nice balance where it was not, you didn't completely go away from it, you didn't abandon the run, but you sprinkled it in just when you had to, just to keep the Bears defense honest, okay? Because it was tough. It's been tough against that defense all season long from a run standpoint, and it especially was so today for the Eagles. So speaking of Doug Peterson, let's get some more insight into what the game plan was for today and how the Eagles came out with the win. Let's send it to the one-on-one interview with the Hall of Fame wide receiver, Mike Quick.
Coach, not many people expected you to even be in the playoff, more or less advancing. What is it about this team that they continue to do what you're doing?
I think our guys really, they do a great job of just blocking a lot of things out, and just focusing on their job. And I talk a lot about ownership and accountability, and it's really starting to show up now this last month and a half of our season. And, it proved itself again tonight. I mean, the Chicago Bear team they're well coached. It's a great football team. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC for a while. And, for us to come in here and battle and play 60 minutes, I think just shows the resiliency again of our football team.
It's a defense that they don't give up anything in the run game. They're the best in the red zone, but you still are able to get 2 touchdowns in the red zone. Tell me about that plan when you got in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that if we could get them in nickel defense, we had a chance to run the ball just a little bit. And, Coach Fangio does a great job of holding personnel. But, our plan was to try to attack that way, and then we had the touchdown early in the second quarter that kind of got us to 10 points, and then of course the last drive of the game was outstanding and getting us in there on 4th down. But we felt like we could do some things. That's a good red zone team, and we're fortunate to come away with what we did.
But you kind of understand when he's going to come after you with an all-out blitz and play man on the back end, so you're able to take advantage of that, huh?
We did, and he, Coach Fangio again is he loves to bring pressure inside the 5, especially in those gotta-have-it type moments, and that was a gotta-have-it moment. And, it was a play that we had repped during the week, and Golden is one of the best at that little quick out. And Nick is a very accurate passer there and put a good ball on it and got us in the end zone.
You were in New Orleans, didn't go well. Looking forward to going back to New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity again. Anytime you can continue and keep playing in the postseason, that's a positive. And, we'll look at that film again and go back and make some adjustments. And I feel like we're a different football team at this point than we were, say a month and a half, 2 months ago. And, we're just looking for the opportunity. It's a good football team. They're well coached as well, and we just got to put another good plan together.
Let me go back to the offensive line, because this was a defense that everyone talks about and they are one of the best that I've seen. But your offensive line today, you got to talk about their play, because I thought they were stellar today.
I'm going to tell you, each week Coach Stout puts a great run plan together. They do a great job with the protection plan, and then our guys just embrace the work, embrace the joy of kind of playing together, and they're playing really well right now together, and it's fun to watch our guys, quite frankly. 5 guys come off the ball and do some things in the run game, and then to keep your quarterback clean. They're doing a great job. They're playing well right now.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck down in New Orleans.
Thanks, Quick.
Great interview as always from Mike Quick. Now there's a photo circulating Twitter right now of Doug Pearson in the locker room after the win, standing with Tim Jernigan with a gold chain around his neck. I would have loved if he had the gold chain on during the interview right there. That would have just been classic. Absolutely classic right there. So Doug Pearson, phenomenal job getting the Eagles the win. So we have more coming up here on the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. We're going to dig deep and go inside the film room after the break, and then later on we're going to preview the matchup with the Saints. However, if you are following us on Facebook or Twitter, you need to come on over to PhiladelphiaEagles.com or the app to join the rest of the party. We'll be back after these messages.